Hello, it says I'm live. So, today we're going to do a little experiment. Today is a day for experimentation. So, last time I was live on the other channel, I mentioned that there was an idea that I had. So, basically, I'm going to use the. Oh, it's 2:22. Look at that. 2:22 p.m. Oof, y'all can see all my little notifications. Oh no, you can't. Okay. Anyway, 2:22. What a time to start. I'm gonna be using one of the spreads from the Google Drive, and it's I thought I had an app for it. Oh, I guess not. I guess I can just go to YouTube and go into my um, go into my a video because it's in the description box. The link is in the description box. We'll just pick this one. And here we go. Nice. The warrior spread. So basically, I watched a Try Guys video where they were doing like high diving, and they were talking about one of the divers was like, you want like when you go into the water. Well, first I thought of the bubbles, so I guess I have a bubbles card too. Oh, maybe that's what this is. Okay, because I was like, so this is the warrior spread. Um, sure. Go away. Go away. Let's do this. Oh, 1 second. I got some stuff prepared, but other stuff not at all. Like I was sitting here trying to figure out how to connect my phone to my computer. So like if I take a picture of the spread, like I can put it up here. That's why there's like all this space here. So anyway, I'm gonna do this. This is the spread. Right. And I was gonna put another card down here, an Oracle card. So I'm gonna do that on this channel, and then I'm gonna go live on the other channel, and we're gonna do it twice. Um, so anyway, I was watching them diving. Okay, this is what I don't want. So we're gonna put this back on focus mode. Anyway, and so he was like, when you dive in, like they dive in like this, so that their hands break the surface tension of the water, and then their bodies flow through after that. It's to help reduce like the shock, because if you hit still water from that high, it's like hitting concrete, right? So, and it's like a diving board or a jumping board. So it'll be like, so this leg, the 136 is going into the water. Hold up. So I'll imagine or visioned it like going in and then coming out. So the 136 is going into the water. So six would be what we're using to break that surface tension. And then the 542 is jumping off of the board. And basically that's how I envisioned it. And then we'll see if so like six will be breaking. Hold on, let me actually, can I mark this? I wish I could type on this. I can do it on my phone, I'm pretty sure. So, second. I really didn't think this through, but that's fine. Because I need to make my little notes, and I think, oh, I can just access Google Drive here though, because I have not Bitmoji. Where's my drive? Where's the drive? There it is. And I think up right here. Let's go. Oh, duh. Oh, snap. Ah, I love it. Oh, okay, it's fine. To Samsung notes. Add to a new note. Boom. Let's go. I love this so much. Okay. So we'll do it in green so I can see it. So this is hands breaking water. This is feet, which is like grounding slash jumping. Uh, I love this so much. Grounding, launching. So both of these are the head. Let's see, let's pick a color that will show up. And so then these are the hands. And then these are the feet. Boom, got it. So, and this is just like little notes that I put on there. Anyway, so don't need this anymore. Okay, I'm gonna use the Terror of the Abyss. It's gonna be kind of dark. I don't feel like roasting under the light. I partially don't feel like roasting under the light. I partially like set down my TV remote and I don't know where I put it. Actually, give me a second. I'm gonna set this up and I'll turn on the light for you. Oof. So anyway, there's a lot of interesting things that have been happening in life lately. Um, within the past year of my life has, I feel like, been the most expensive. Oh, look, literally found my remote. The past year of my life has been one of the most expansive because of everything that I've positioned myself to actually accept or do rather than avoid. And it's been challenge after challenge with the job. And first it was the boss, then it was all the extra hours because now I'm the only person. And in all of that, it never, like, there were times in that challenge where it was like, was this on the whole time or did I just turn this back on? I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. There were times when it was like, if I leave, if I quit, if I give up or leave or quit, like that's the choice that I can make, and it's a fairly valid choice. Like it's a completely valid choice, not fairly valid, and I'll be supported in that, and I'll go somewhere else. But every time, it didn't feel like it was for me to leave, and so I continued to stay, and I continued to do a lot more than I probably should have, and it's not anything that I necessarily wanted, but again, throughout all that time, there we go, I found it throughout all that time, it never felt like I was supposed to go. And I even remember like when we got the news that it was shutting down, and that's like we've gotten closer and closer and closer to the shutdown. It's just been this feeling like there's something that I don't know because it hasn't happened yet. There's something that I can't see because it hasn't presented itself. And so I'll stay here and I'll do my best and make the best of whatever. And this past week, things have really been like not necessarily revealing themselves, but the thing that I was waiting for, the thing that I didn't know, or the thing that hadn't happened yet, I'm starting to see what that is or was. And so, because of that, of course, there's like a whole new energy where it's like, even if things haven't necessarily changed, the way that I'm going about stuff and the way that I'm like managing my time or my tasks or whatever, just like everything else going on, I'm positioned fairly well, interestingly enough. And I went on a walk today. I went to the store today to grab. So last week, I went into the shop and I was given like a little sage bundle, a rainbow sage bundle. Um, and, but I don't have anything to burn it in. So I went back to get something to burn it in today. And I stopped by Starbucks before I went in, and then I stopped by the cemetery and I took a walk on the way home, or before I came home. And I almost went live, but I didn't. And then I was thinking about those readings where it was like there's something going on like up here that we think is giving us some kind of perspective or whatever, but there's something also transpiring like up here, and we can't see it from down here, and we can't get the full idea or see it from up here. So even though we think we're being like ahead of the curve or whatever by like putting our focus and attention here, there's something transpiring at an even higher level. And so then I was just like, not that like it's a parallel. I was wondering if that would be like a parallel to that, right? And how like even if I would have taken a certain vantage point, or I would have been able to use certain like spiritual, energetic, manifestive resources to create a different path or to exit, it never felt like again, like it felt like I would have been supported in it if I would have made that choice. But it didn't feel like it was for me to choose to do. And so now I'm like, oh, like now I'm starting to see some stuff sort of like come together that wouldn't have if I had left. Long story short. And so I'm in the store and the guy is there and he's training someone who I actually saw last week when I was there. I guess they started working there now. Um, and they have some art that's in the store. And now my whole deck idea has shifted because I have one artist friend, the one who drew the full card that I got from Maketober when she did. Oh, Maketober is coming up last year. And I was like, I've been wanting to like make a deck, and I've been meaning to reach out to you to illustrate it. And she was like, oh my gosh, I would love to. But now I'm looking at that person's artwork, and I'm like, I kind of want to commission them to illustrate it. So I don't know if it's like I'll break up the suits and try to find different people to illustrate the different suits. Like it's been on my mind to do since I did the Diceology. Um, what's that? But I think I put it in like April of 2020, and I got him in like June because I had a buddy who, well, first like Flavored Vivid, like she makes a lot of decks, and I had a buddy who had made a few, and I was like, where did you go? Because like it's been on my mind to make one, but I can't illustrate it. But since the illustrations weren't working, Diceology was the perfect in between. Because then I just like I rolled the dice, got the message, took a picture of the dice, and that's the illustrations for the cards. It's just the picture of the dice as they came out, right? So anyway, that person is in there. I'm looking at this screen. They have like some like meditation-y type music playing in the store, and I'm looking at a screen that's cycling through something, and I'm looking at these different places, and I guess like in the course of this week, it's almost like, and I've talked about it before, the reality that some of the things that I dreamed of, or some of the things that oh my gosh, I might cry. um, but some of the things that I've wanted in life that I never thought I would have, how it's shifting from, it's like shifting through the realm of potential from dream into reality, like actually able to be experienced. And as I'm watching these things cycle through, and as the reality that it could be my reality is like sinking in, I just feel like yesterday the Guardian at the Gate came out or whatever. Like I just felt like, again, like these like can be my life if I choose it. And then it's like, oh my gosh, it's this like whole new energy. I'm like, what's happening? Did something transpire in the astrology? Like, if I don't know. For everything that's retrograde, it feels like it's like direct, like, like the shortcut, like that golden door, like the door that opens up and golden light spills out. And it's like, hey, like, I know you're on your way over there, but step through here. Um, And so I'm like, here I am feeling like Wheel of Fortune is turning in a whole way, like World card, Wheel of Fortune, everything, sun's coming out. And then I'm driving to go to walk in the cemetery, and I hear this buzzing. I'm like, oh my gosh, it sounded huge. So I'm like, I'm in the van. I had to take the van today. And the brakes on the van kind of scare me because you gotta like hit the like you have to push the brake into the car to stop, into the van to stop the car. Like you can't just like, ease on the brake. You gotta like brake to brake. And in the car, it's like the opposite. In the car, it's like if you like barely push on the brake, you're braking. Um, and so like I'm at the stoplight, and I like again I can hear it like in the back of the van, and so I'm looking in the mirror, and then I see like this giant, it had to be some kind of bee, just like flying around, and there are no, like in the van, the only windows that roll down are in the front. So there's the whole middle and then the back. And after I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, I can't do this. I need that thing to get out. So I rolled the windows all the way down, and I'm like, just calm down. Like I'm calming myself down. I'm like, it's fine. It's not gonna whatever. And then I heard it stop, but then I get to the cemetery. I'm like, because I was like, I'll just open the trunk, and then hopefully it'll just like fly out if it doesn't fly out. But by the time I got there again, like the buzzing had stopped. I opened the trunk. I guess it had disappeared. And it low key made me think, Eve, what's up? It low key made me think of Reem's Pisces reading. Because I remember I was in the cemetery one day and I was sending her a voice note, and there was like a fly or a bee that was buzzing around me. And I was like, oh, move. But she was like, oh, like all of these are different things that'll be like buzzing around to show you that like these gates of resurrection or whatever are open. So that thing was, I was like, did a queen somehow get in the car? Like that's how big it was. And it was like how, how like chunky bumblebees are? Like it was chunky, like it was thick and big. Um, And so then I get to the cemetery and I'm walking, and it's just like raining acorns under these trees. Like the seeds are just falling. And of course, like, so on campus, I heard that the squirrels will throw acorns onto the ground so that as people walk by and they step on them, it'll crack them open. Okay, gotcha. I mean, if you want whatever you feel, got you. Um, So I was like, oh, the squirrel. It must be squirrels in the tree. Like it was like raining acorns. I thought I would get hit by one, if not like 20. Um, and I remember back on campus, so I was like, oh, like it must be some squirrels up in the tree, like a lot of squirrels, just throwing down acorns because they see me like walking under this tree. But with the shoes that I wore today, they're not strong enough for me to like crack the acorns open. And then I tried, I stepped on it and it's like my shoe just kind of like went around it. You know what I mean? Like it did that. It didn't crack it. And then I tried to step on it with my heel to see if that would work and it still didn't crack it. And so it made me think of the friends of the gatekeeper, and it made me think of the gatekeeper's assistants. And it's one thing I noticed a lot, um, but I had to leave. So it's like if somebody picks up on that as they watch it and it resonates for them, then it'll unfold for them in that way. But it talked like the cards talked about like either like you could be in this energy of receiving a new opportunity, or you could be someone who helps someone else get an opportunity. Like you could be an assistant to a gatekeeper and get somebody else like where they need to go or whatever. Like you can play either side of that. And so it made me think of how like if I'm in this energy, I can in one way I can serve as an anchor of that energy in the world around me. Very like Pinnaclesy, like Queen of Pentaclesy, Empressy almost energy where it's like the vibration that you hold affects the world and environment around you. So like things will grow brighter or whatever. Queen of Wands, that was the thing when she came out because it was like it was the Prime Muse tarot where the Queen of Wands was trying to grow the sunflowers, and it's like 1 second. SMH. Apparently, I have a box. I guess I'll go out and see in a second. But it was like from the outside, you see the sunflowers around the Queen of Wands, and you think it'd be easier to think. It would be easy for somebody to think that the Queen of Wands is the Queen of Wands because of the sunflowers. And so they focus their attention on like growing the sunflowers, but it's like, no, like the sunflowers is a side effect, or the sunflowers is a natural effect and a natural response to the energy that the Queen of Wands holds. They just bloom around her. She doesn't have to dedicate energy or effort to like making them grow and planting the seeds. It just happens. And so, of course, and then like as I'm walking under the trees, I'm in the shade, right? Well, I guess that's not an assumption that you had to make, but there's shade under the trees because it's like noon. And so as I'm walking in the shade and like seeds just falling and I can't crack them. And so it makes me think of like maybe through YouTube or through life or whatever, like it's an energy that goes out into the collective, but it's nothing that I can do for anybody else. I couldn't crack the seeds open. I couldn't crack the acorns open for the squirrels because my shoes weren't the type of material that had a sole that was strong enough to like, and like that's the reason why I bought these shoes because they're like ultra comfortable, you know what I mean? And if I'm wearing shoes for 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 11, 12 hours a day, sometimes like I want them to be comfortable. So I wasn't wearing a pair of shoes that could crack them. And it's not for me to crack other people's nuts. It's not for me to initiate anybody else into their new beginning. Maybe it's just there for me to share what I'm going through, to be an anchor for whatever, so that those energies can present themselves to people. And then they have the power to utilize their choice and their free will, and their connect with their guidance and all kinds of stuff to see how those seeds sort of like unfold for them. And that made me think of, there was a reading that I did one time, and someone told me, they were like, "Oh, the energy that was like the." He was like, there was a portal that opened up when you were doing the reading, and it was gorgeous. And like, I tried to lift the collective through that portal, but something like stopped me from doing it. And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, because like, if you, as any, like anybody who watches what I read, like there isn't much of anything that I read that just like we just get stuff. Like this is happening and you're gonna receive it. It's like almost everything I read is like, this is opening up because of what you've done, because of the work that you've done, because of the healing that you've done, because of the shadows that you've faced and addressed. You're now ready for this gorgeous energy on the other side. But the gorgeous energy on the other side, like we're an active participant in something on that other side. Something is going to be asked for us, or there's going to be a certain amount of presence and authenticity that we have to hold, or a certain amount of volume that we have to speak with in order to like occupy our space and to be the piece that fits in that puzzle. And so if we don't do the things that we need to do to get there, to be able to hold that presence and to be able to be authentically ourselves and to be able to speak our truths and stuff like that, or to be able to participate or whatever we're healing into, like we could get it and then lose it. And that's what came out on the left side. It was like with the Empress and the whatever card. I think it was a king, the king of, it was the queen of winter and the queen of autumn, king of spring maybe, with that Empress. And it was like somebody, it read like you caught someone's eye because of everything that you were doing. They believe that you're perfect for some opportunity because of who you are. And it could be like an opportunity of a lifetime, or it could be like a gateway opportunity where it leads to even further opportunities. But if you get that opportunity and then you psych yourself out and you're not doing any of the things that grabbed their attention that made you perfect for it, then it's like it might turn into one of those like, sorry, unfortunately, like we're gonna have to move in a different direction, like, you know. And it's like, that's almost like that's what evolution sort of like is, or what progression is. We keep what we learn with us as we move forward, and we open up to more and more and bigger and bigger and better. It's not like, and it's funny because my brother was talking about how Pokemon has been running for years, and it's like every time Ash goes to a new area, it's like he forgets how Pokemon work. And then like he's had Pikachu for how long, and like Pikachu goes to another area and Pikachu's getting whooped by level 2 Pokemon. And it's like Pikachu's been battling Pokemon for decades now. Shouldn't Pikachu know, you know? It's like they like reset every time they go somewhere new, and it's like they start from zero, and it's like it's something where we're continuously building anyway. So that's why I wasn't necessarily too surprised, because it's like I don't, and I would feel bad for pushing anyone into any of those energies, because none of them, like the only time they really read as easy from my perspective and from where I'm reading from is when like we've grown in some way. It's because of the growth that it becomes manageable, or because it's because of that that it becomes easy. We can do whatever's going to be asked of us. And I'm the type of person where it's like, I wouldn't want to give something to someone that isn't sustainable, or I wouldn't want to offer an opportunity to someone that really excites them and like lights them up, only to like take it, or only for them to lose it. You know what I mean? Because that seems kind of cruel to me. Um, I wouldn't want that done to me. And if I had the power and choice, I wouldn't want to do that to anybody else. So that's why there's a lot of like sustainability, or I at least try to bring in the element of sustainability. and then because we can continue moving. So I'm gonna look for this box real quick. It's already been half an hour. We ain't even got into it, but I'm saying all of this here because I might not say it on the. I don't know because I want to talk about it, but it's just like sometimes I don't want to be the person that's like, oh my gosh, like things are going so well over here and blah 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 whatever. Especially if I know that for a lot of people it's not like that may not necessarily be the case. But at the same time, like I put a lot of work into what I do. And I also show that. So I'm like, well, I don't believe I should have to play it down or it's a dichotomy that I try to whatever. But anyway, I'll be right back. I thought I had a package. I was like, Eve, did you give me something? It's just a water filter because they were like, oh, save 20% when you buy a subscription. So a new water filter is here. Maybe that's symbolic because so I titled the last reading Guiding Waters because that's the name of this cologne. The one that I was looking for that had disappeared. It's called Guiding Waters. And the Two of Cups energy was what established that link across the veil, across the gate, like the Bifrost Bridge, Rainbow Bridge. It was the Two of Cups energy. So I was like, oh, Guiding Waters, it fits, it's perfect. Today, it's a new water filter. So, and I know it's like they said they reworked their filter to address concerns that people were having. So the first one filter out like fluoride and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, people talk about how fluoride in the water is calcifying your pineal gland or whatever. So I was like, oh, I'll filter it out, decalcify, whatever. But then they were like, well, the focus is shifting towards like microplastics and other stuff in the water. So the filter has changed. There are some things it still filters out. There are some things it doesn't filter out anymore because like one filter can only do so much. Now I didn't think about passing the water through multiple filters. I could have did that, but I just switched it out. So thank you. And I know that I'm not. I could tell. I think there's yeah, it's fine. It's fine. See, this one is the Harmonist Guiding Water. I don't know if it'll focus, but I got a Scentbird subscription because I was like, why not? Focus, Guiding Water, the Harmonist. Anyway, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad that I'm not alone. I've been noticing. I've been noticing a few things, sort of like running through the collective. Um, and it's what's interesting is though, like, because the last time I read for myself, when I read for myself and I'm not live, I don't have the patience to. I pull the cards, I look at them, I'm like, okay, and then I put them away. I'm just like, I don't have time for this, or because it'll be like before I go to bed or something. I'm like, oh, let me pull some cards, and I'm like, okay, yeah, no. when I'm live, I actually read it like I'd read anything else. But it was a lot of Earth and Water that came out last time, and I was excited because I was like, "Ooh, getting back into the good stuff." Because I've been fire and air for a minute, but now that I feel like I'm like softening back into my Earth and Water, I'm seeing some other like fire air stuff, and I'm like, "Oof, oof." But anyway, it's an interesting time that we're living in, and it's never for any of us to. We can only do so much for other people. Some things we have to do ourselves, and it's not for me to whatever. But oh, girl, Eve. I feel like I wish I could just. I wish we could like go out and I don't know, get like pizza and like I wish we could just like hang out and just like talk in real life. Cause I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's funny because oh, this is hilarious. This is hilarious. So water came out. And I was like, oh, that's like the guiding water, the water filter that I just got. Like that's this water theme. Bottom of the deck is earth. And I'm talking about how I'm like, I'm in my water and earth again and I'm feeling good. And then the rainmaker is under that. That's interesting because I think when I first got this deck, the cards that came out were the rainmaker and the hummingbird. It was either the rain, no, it was the rainmaker and rainbow, I think. It was the rainmaker and rainbow. And I was like, rainmaker, what does that mean? Anyway, there's the water and the earth. So from Henry Rose. Oh snap! Your favorite was called Dark Knight. Oh look, and then the Holy Mountain Ethicate. But yeah, but I don't even remember what I was talking about. But and another thing that's interesting is I find myself there were some things that I did not there were some things that I thought I didn't want not too long ago. But now I find myself sort of like a little more than entertaining them. And I'm like, I thought, and I'm trying to be careful. Uh, but maybe it wasn't like the thing, maybe it was the situation around it. And like I've done some considerable growth and stuff like that since a year ago. So of course I'm in a position to want things that I didn't necessarily want before. I definitely wasn't because in this past year it's been a lot of facing, rising to the challenge, and not allowing fear to continue to dictate and control my life. Because when I was that afraid, there were some times where I didn't have choice, but I didn't have choice because of fear. It was because of fear, and it was because of pain, and it was because of other things that I always there were things that I would never allow myself the opportunity to explore. And now that now that I chose to work through fear rather than allow it to dictate my choices and decisions in life overall, there are things that I've discovered. I'm like, oh, yeah. I like how you say probably. It might happen someday. You might go on a trip someday, and I might go on a trip someday, and I'll be like, "Oh, that lady looks like that one picture of Eve that I saw." Eve, is that you? Oh, the Three of Cups and the Six of Cups. I love that. Okay. All right. So I think I am actually going to timestamp this because in that way, if I do come back and watch this, you're due a vacation. Me too. Me as well. I too will say intro 0000 cards 4020. It should be about 4020. All right. 4020 right there. Let's go. So actually, I'm going to take these as they are and I'm just going to pull. So in this spread, if you choose, red comes from the bottom of the deck. The other ones come from like anywhere or the top. So, ooh, the Beauty Way, number 4, is the foam that breaks the surface tension of the water. So that when we're training, so that was another thing in the diving video. He was like, when we're training and practicing dives, we turn on the bubbles to break the surface tension so it's not like hitting concrete. But when they actually dive, they don't do that. Maybe it could be not Chicago, Illinois. I mean, I wouldn't like this isn't like there's a lot of not Chicago, and I being someone who is from Illinois is like I don't know if any of those places are necessarily like vacation spots. You know what I mean? Maybe for some people who are like used to having things to do and like good food and options, they're like, I want a break from this. I want like a small town where there's nothing to do and nothing really good to eat, no selection. Like I want to experience that for a little bit so that when I go home I can appreciate having things. So I'm going to do 2 off the top this way and then 2 off the bottom this way. This is interesting. So the 2 off of the bottom, it's the Star and the Queen of Swords. The 2 off the top, it's the Six of Swords and the Ace of Cups. So on the left side of the Beauty Way, it's dark. On the right side, it's light. Just like the backgrounds. Um, but let's get into the spread. Oof, this might be a little more than a bargain for. You've only gone to haunted places? Oh. I don't know how. I'm still working through, I would say, a lot of fear. I'm kidding. Like going somewhere that's haunted on purpose. But it's funny because I've noticed over the past, it was actually 2 weekends ago. I'm not like afraid of the dark, but sometimes when I go into the dark, my mind just starts like racing. And over the weekend now, they shut off like all the lights, and I'm the only person that goes in. And I noticed 2 weeks ago that like when I was in the dark, my mind wasn't racing anymore. And I was like, oh, when did that happen? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the bottom of the deck the Tarot of the Abyss. I'll take a picture. I'll see. I'll try to do the thing that like the reason why I set this up this way. We'll see if it works. Where's my? There we go. Now let's see if this will do this. Oh my gosh, technology is amazing. Now, let's see. I gotta save this somewhere where I can find it. Oh, saved pictures. I'll just use this empty folder that's conveniently right there. Now, here we go. Here. Saved pictures right there. So this is how the cards are laid out, right? Boom. Since I don't have my camera set up, I figured I'd just do this. And it works. So at the bottom line, so the Beauty Way and the Tarot of the Abyss, I mean, we're diving into the water, right? So it's in the water. The Guardian of the Gate, the Guardian at the Gate was yesterday, so maybe this is what's on the other side of the gate. I don't know. But the thing that breaks the surface tension, or the surface tension, is the Beauty Way, Six of Swords. Well, the Six of Swords, Ace of Cups, the Star, and the Queen of Swords is like that surface tension. The Beauty Way is our point of contact, right? So this Ten of Cups is the hands. So when we're diving into the water, that's what breaks the surface tension, so we don't like shatter into a million pieces as we hit the water going at whatever speed we're falling at. Now that Ten of Cups is mirrored by the Nine of Cups on the other side. So diving into the water, it's the Two of Cups, the Six of Cups, and the Ten of Cups. This energy is beautiful. It is gorgeous. And that's on the side of the Ace of Cups and the Six of Swords going to the Beauty Way. Coming out of the water, it's the Five of Cups, the Ten of Swords, and the Nine of Cups on the side of the Star and the Queen of Swords. So the Ten of Cups is corresponding to the Nine of Cups. Because when we're jumping off of the diving board, like our hands are in the air or whatever, right? And so the Two of Cups is corresponding to the Five of Cups, because when we're going into the water, our feet are at the top. But when we're jumping off of the diving board, our feet are at the bottom. And then the Six of Cups and the Ten of Swords are basically everything in between. Whoa, hold up. Oh, I need to go into my notes. I'm like, where did all my notes go? So for that one, I just wrote head, because I mean, I'm like, that's what's in between, right? And again, the thing about this when I was doing it was like it feels inherently backwards, because I guess I'm reading it from right to left, which is weird because when I read left to right. But as I was thinking of the spread, it was like right to left. And so it's like we're diving into the water before we jump off of the board, basically. Now, what's interesting about this is with the Queen of Swords and the Star card, with the Star, it's like there's something that's way out of reach. Oh, I'm putting it down here. I tricked myself. Oh. Did Patrick help? Did I help? Now I'm curious. Aquarius. I feel like I'm probably gonna watch that Scorpio one because I watched um the unboxing. Oh, I am right now. Oh, well, look at that. So, because I watched the video where you unboxed them all, and you were like, "Oh, this Two of Pentacles like was in one of the signs I read. It was Scorpio, Rainbow Bender." I'm like, "Oh, what's that about?" Rainbow Bender, and that's another like that Rainbow Bridge and the Two of Pentacles and the Seven of Cups and the Mystical Dream Tarot. That's something that's been like popping. Oh well, and the Ten of Cups right here. I keep with this picture right here. It's tricking my brain into thinking that my desk camera is here, so I keep like putting the cards up and then not seeing the picture change. But this is like that Ten of Cups Rainbow Bridge, but with the cup at every point, it's like it maintains the integrity of that bridge. So it's like we can actually move across it, right? Because if we try to step on light, we'll just fall through. And then, so that happened, and one of my good Virgo buddies, um, I think he went to Kauai for his birthday. He has the cheesiest. The cheesiest captions. It's fine. Let's see. Who am I looking for? I'm trying to like. There we go. Can I do this? There you go. It was like this rainbow. I was like, oh snap. Anyway. Oh, so with the Queen of Swords and the Star, it feels like the star is reaching for something. And maybe this is on the side of the Five of Cups, the Ten of Swords, and the Nine of Cups. This is more so like the Five of Cups and the Five of Cups into the Ten of Swords. Is this feeling like we're falling short of the beauty way? But what's interesting is because we use our feet to like push off, especially if it's just like if it's not like a diving board, if it's just like the solid thing where it doesn't like you just like jump off, you know what I mean? Like the Five of Cups is what's launching us. What's gonna break the surface tension is the Nine of Cups. But in between is a whole Ten of Swords. And it feels like that Ten of Swords is like that's the space of us constantly reaching out for something that never gets any closer. But with the Queen of Swords, it's like as she goes inside and as she does whatever she's doing within herself, it brings the star into reach. It's almost like the star comes down on top of her sword and then maybe it'll be absorbed into the sword or whatever. She finds it within herself first, basically. And so that gets her like off of the diving board. And so as she's nearing the beauty way, what breaks the surface tension is the Ten of Cups. So from the 9 to the 10, Nine of Cups, Ace of Cups, Ten of Cups. So something within the veil, something within the water itself is going to add to it to make it this 10, which is interesting because it feels like, oh, ew. I just felt like something was crawling on my leg. Sorry. Um, oh, but she's literally coming out of the water in this Ace of Cups. And it's almost like because she's coming out of the water right before we go into the water, that helps in breaking the surface tension. And it almost feels like when I use the Mystical Dream Tarot and I clarified whatever I clarified, and I can't remember, it was the card of the two people fishing. And it was like the fish is trying to take us up to the surface, and the Eight of Cups is trying to take us up to the surface, but we're fighting it. But it's like if we get within a certain distance, they're going to catch that fish and just like pull us out of the water. So it feels like something like speeds up or something happens to like either like shorten a distance or the board gets extra springy. It makes it easier to take that leap. Me too. This is like, so the Ten of Cups breaks that surface tension. And then we have the Six of Cups in between. Six of Cups, Six of Swords. And then the Six of Swords, they're flying over the water in this bird. The Six of Cups feels like the way that this naturally reads is it's going backwards. So 10 of Cups, Six of Cups, Two of Cups. So it feels like as we think about our own lives and as we think about maybe a time where we were happiest or whatever, like we try to retrace our steps or we might try to recreate something that was a long time ago. But it almost feels like with this Six of Swords energy, it feels like the something somewhere within the veil is saying there's a better way. Like you don't have to go backwards to find that feeling that you feel that you've lost. You can keep moving forward. And not only do you keep moving forward, but you move forward in a completely different way. Like they're not even taking the water anymore. They're in the air, and all of the air is on the other side. Air Aquarius and the star and the Queen of Swords. And it's interesting. So, because we have this owl sitting up here in this Ten of Swords. It's interesting though, because like the owl that sits in this Ten of Swords feels like it's the same as the energy in the Six of Swords. So I don't know if that was us like, but it's shrouded in darkness. So we wouldn't have seen it. I mean, that's what owls do, right? Not what they do, but because it was something that we had to experience. We had to bring this star down. And maybe it's like we had to bring this star down so that we know, so that we have a better idea of what's inside of us. And so that we have a better idea of what it is that we're capable of. And so that when we reach whatever comes next, when we're in this beauty way energy, we're not constantly and continuously reaching out for something. Because if that's how we find success, then that's what we'll think makes us successful or whatever. And that's what we'll continue to do. Never fully realizing or appreciating what is within us, or never fully taking advantage of how we contribute to the way that the world turns, spins, works, whatever, without as much of an appreciation for how we participate in the creation of our lives. Not that we necessarily create all of it, but there is something that we add to it. And then we end up in this Two of Cups energy. This Two of Cups almost feels like, so how I'm reading this is because they're both holding up to the light, right? It feels like as they hold their cup up to the light, it actually projects a rainbow. And so maybe this rainbow is something that other people will see. It feels like somehow they become assistants to the gatekeeper. They, it's like them together adds to the collective energy of this Ace of Cups. So it's almost like this Two of Cups can help break the surface tension for someone else to get into it, or it highlights and illuminates the spot where that point of entry in the beauty way. Very much like, oh, if somebody else can do it, then like maybe there's hope for me. And a lot of times that works when jealousy and stuff like that is absent, because in envy and in jealousy, things can sort of get twisted and warped in a way, but that's not here. That doesn't matter. It's like it contributes to making that more and more. It ripples outward into the collective pond. Cute. Cool. I feel like there's something I need to just like put on here to conclude it. You know what I mean? I wanted to do this with the Archeo, but I couldn't find the Archeo. So I went for, and then I didn't know like where the beauty way is, where the mystical shaman is. I wanted to use the Archeo, and I was like, oh, I don't know what deck to use in there. And then I was going through and I was like, oh, I can use the mystical shaman. I hope I get a card that I, know. But in this beauty way card, it feels like the more people who are in this energy, the more like this blossoms and unfolds. Again, it adds to the collective Ace of Cups energy where people all over are just like rising above the surface and breaking the surface tension and making it easier and easier. And maybe that's another thing that makes me think of the Fata Morgana and how that was a thing, um, probably about a year ish ago. And it didn't really click until I heard Russell say, I watched a bit of the Wheels of Fortune live, and he said something about castles in the sky, and it made me think of the Fata Morgana, and then it made me think of that mountain floating in the sky. Um, but the thing about the Fata Morgana is like it's that castle in the sky energy. It feels like it's not grounded, but there was an energy of like there is a path to that place, or like it was settling onto the ground or something like that. So it's more than just an illusion. It's not unattainable. It's not unreachable, and that makes me think of this star that comes down onto the sword. And so it doesn't necessarily feel like, I mean, I guess it is the star, so maybe, but it doesn't necessarily feel like something that needs to be broadcasted by everybody. Um, so let's see. The Fata Morgana was like those illusions. Here's a quick Google image search. It's like when you see something that's like up off of the ground or whatever, it's a type of like mirage or illusion where something is like a castle in the sky. It's floating off of the ground. And that was I don't remember if I titled anything, but I remember that energy coming out for like a good 2 or 3 weeks, maybe about a year ago. No matching videos, so I didn't put it in any of the titles, but because I remember, I think it was Contemplation in the Magical Dimensions, Oracle Cards and Activators. It was like it appeared. But I guess and it's just like it makes something that seems like a fantasy or something that seems impossible more possible. And again, every time it's that, oh, I think it was the Four Samurai Swords and a Mandala Collective read Reem did once, where it was like it makes the impossible. Oh, it's what's the inevitable? It makes the impossible inevitable. It's like it goes from impossible to possible, from possible to probable, and then from probable to inevitable. So that which would never happen becomes that which you can't stop, basically. And it's interesting because we're going to be heading into October, we're going to be heading into Scorpio season. We're not even at Libra season yet, but after Libra season and Scorpio season, we're going to be heading into the time where the veil is growing thinner and thinner and thinner. And again, in this Ace of Cups, it feels like something within the veil is actually kind of like surfacing. And it's like two magnets. After we get so close to the veil, and as that rises to the surface of the veil, that's what creates that rainbow bridge. And then the rainbow bridge turns into this whole portal and it just like sucks you through it. It'll be really easy to just like fall through. But the trick would be navigating to the edge of the veil inside of or on the other side of it, not really being able to see. And again, that's what this energy sort of feels like. This was in that like navigating the veil. Let me to 1 second. Oh, there we go. This is that like navigating the veil. And then when we go inside or when we do whatever, that's when it brings us closer to the other side. And as we approach the veil, as we get closer with that Nine of Cups, this Ace of Pentacles just pulls us right into the 10. And then from the Ace of Cups pulls us right into that 10 of Cups. And then it feels like it just like almost one thing after another. So it could be a fairly quick turnaround. Like Uranus is in Taurus right now, and anything and everything can change. What we've been accustomed to as what life is and what an experience on earth is, like, again, it's like everything is subject to change. It doesn't have to be what it always was. And so because of that, it's almost like we don't even necessarily have to fear things that we did in the past, because it was almost like, well, if this is happening under the current set of whatever, then that means that something else will occur. But it's like everything is so fluid and in motion right now. Anything could be anything. So I'm excited for that series now. Because I feel it so hardcore. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Oh. So the card of awakening came out. This is going to conclude this, and then I'm going to go live and do this all over again on the other channel. But the awakening card came out the Awakening card came out like the first time I used the Tarot of the Abyss. And I remember it was like, we go through this caterpillar to butterfly process, but we become butterflies, but all we know of life is being a caterpillar. So it's easy to be a butterfly doing caterpillar things rather than allowing, because like with nature, there seems to just be an innate knowing. Like, how does the tadpole know that when it's growing legs, like it's ready to go on the surface of the water? Like, if all the tadpole knows is water, even if it has legs now, wouldn't you think it'd still be in the water? And like Russ talked about the dragonflies like all the time, like when they're a nymph and they're in the water, but then they breach the surface and they break out of their shells and the wings unfurl and they inflate themselves and then they take off into the air. Caterpillars, butterflies, same thing. After that transition, it's like they just know that the way that they just know that life is completely different. And that makes me think of that Six of Swords energy because it was flying over the water. It wasn't taking the ship that it took to get there. So that's definitely like, especially coming off, yeah, yeah. It's like, woo! Oh, and the Page of Pentacles. Oof, and the Tower. And the Wheel of Fortune, the Page of Pentacles, the Tower, and the Wheel of Fortune are at the bottom of the deck. But the Page of Pentacles in this deck, I was going to talk about it when it first came out, but I didn't. So, long story short, there's the story of the Page of Pentacles, the King and Queen of Pentacles, maybe the Knight of Pentacles if you want to put the Knight of Pentacles in there. But the Knight of Pentacles has been absent because they're off doing their own thing right now. And the Seven of Swords. And there's this magic tree that can provide anything. And so the Seven of Swords comes up and sees the little girl in the tree and is like, "Oh, can you fetch me some apples from that tree, please? Because I'm old and frail and I can't get them myself." And the little girl doesn't know any better. King and Queen of Pentacles separated by the Chariot. Love that. The little girl doesn't know any better. And so they're like, okay. And then one day the king or queen is like, notices that the little girl is like giving out apples to the Seven of Swords person. And so they're like, it's time to teach her about the source of their abundance, basically, and how the tree gives to those of a certain heart. Ooh, see, look, even the Seven of Swords is graduated. But this happened last time the Seven of Swords was like getting itself together. Four of Wands, Nine of Wands. So the Seven of Swords is like, oh, like, can you get them? And then the Princess of Pentacles is like, yeah. And then one of them, they tell the princess that like the tree gives, the tree is like a mirror, basically. It blesses us with abundance because of what lives inside of us. And the Seven of Swords, it's like if the Seven of Swords, like the Seven of Swords would be able to get the fruit if they were of a heart to or whatever. And so the Princess of Pentacles, like understanding now the truth about the tree, but not quite wanting to believe that the Seven of Swords is like trying to trick them. It's like, so the Seven of Swords comes back and goes through the whole spiel again. And the princess is like, oh, like I must be off. I can't today, but the tree is here. Feel free to pick all the fruit that you want. And then the Seven of Swords is like, oh, but I'm excuse, whatever. Pity me, get it for me. And the Princess of Pentacles is like, no. And then the Seven of Swords is like, oh, well, I didn't want any anyway, blah, 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 whatever. And that's when the Princess of Pentacles finds out that the Seven of Swords is the Seven of Swords. And then one day, like, the king is out there and the Seven of Swords tries to do it with the king. And it's almost like that property is inherited, passed down from family to family or whatever, or from generation to generation. And the King of Swords is like, oh, like, are you the same Seven of Swords that was here when I was a kid? Like, you haven't figured it out yet? Like, you're still doing this? Like, I didn't know that you were the one that my daughter was given whatever to. That was the whatever. But the Seven of Swords looks like it changed this time, and it looks like it changed last time too. Chariot and the Four of Wands at the cut. And a lot of you, I love that energy because that's like the experience. I'm ready for the better. I'm hungry. All right. Six of Cups at the bottom of the deck and the Four of Swords at the top. This is, it's almost just reading like someone who's used to having to fight or defend or whatever. And so they don't really know how to rest or know how to take a break or know how to water at the bottom of the deck. Look at that. With the beauty way. I didn't even look at what was at the bottom. Um, it's an adjustment. That's it. We're going to adjust to everything new, and slowly but surely we'll find out that there are some things that we just don't have to. I almost want to say like accommodate for anymore. Like we won't even be asked to. Water still at the bottom of the deck. Okay. What's at the top? The standstill. All right, Evil, thank you for being here. I'm about to go through this all over again. Feel free to join me if you will. Feel free to not, because you already sat through an hour and 17 minutes. But we'll just see what it's like on the other side. Maybe it'll be the same, or maybe it'll be similar, and it'll be an energy where these spaces are merging. Because, and I got the email that you sent me with the link to your other channel. I opened it up before work, and then when I was at work, that was like whenever you sent it, and then it just like slipped my mind. And then I would remember every now and then, but every time I remember, I'm at work and I don't get a signal at work. But anyway, I feel like you sent me that Pisces video, and I was like a minute and a half in, and I was already like, oof. But anyway, because I know for a while I noticed that like energy would read different over here than it did over there, for whatever reason. But anyway, I'm gonna switch over now. I hope you have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience share reality, and I hope you give yourself the chance to experience the fulfillment of so much of what you desire, if not all of it, and more. Because we seem to be in a pretty interesting time. And again, it's interesting because there's like so much beauty, and the energy is so gorgeous. But then it's like, if you kind of sort of, I guess I can speak for myself. Like when I read stuff like this, it's like, oh, like, or just in my own personal life, like feeling that like new coming in, but then like witnessing some other stuff that's like, um, but it's there. It presents itself. It's drawing nearer to the veil, so it's becoming more and more possible. And I've been seeing so many just like, it's no secret that I am a huge tech fan. I'm a techie. I literally just connected my phone to my computer, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Um, but I've been seeing so much about like social media or technology and how people are using it to like I saw an ad for an app for someone who's like getting on in years and they live alone. And it's like they can send out an emergency whatever, and like the people who they're connected to in that app, they can be like, oh, like I got this, I'll stop by, I'll do it, whatever. And it's a way to like, the way it was sold, it's like it's a way for like children to take care of their aging parents, and to, even if they can't always be there in person, to still be reachable, and to be there and to be like up to date and informed on all of that. And I don't know, it's like, I don't know. Anyway, it was cool. It was gorgeous. This is over. I'm gonna do it all over again. I'm interested to see. I'm gonna use the same cards and everything. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.